everybody, and welcome back to the show. I am very excited because we're talking wrestling today, and that's always my favorite thing to do, I think. Even though a lot of you may not know that, that's my favorite thing to do. And today I am very excited because we have a special guest, a wonderful independent wrestler who has been all over the place, man of many travels, and I can't wait to get more into that. Right now, he is in the top 200 of the PWI 500 this year, which is a really big deal in the wrestling community. I remember being 4 years old and picking up those magazines at Stop and Shop, or A&P actually, with my parents. So it's very cool, and he's gotten to do a lot of cool stuff, and his career is just beginning. So welcome, please, Brett Ryan Gosselin. Brett, how are you?
I'm a little nervous. I'm not normally on TV that much,
so all right.
I'm just gonna go about this the best I can.
Don't be. Look, I don't know why you're nervous. I just put up the live bug that says what time we're recording this right now. Which apparently it's 5:19 p.m. On a Wednesday. That's not when this is airing, so we'll just pretend like that didn't happen.
Yeah, we'll just pretend.
So I'm the nervous one now.
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
I'm living the dream. I mean, I can't say enough how fun this year has been, despite all the roller coaster ride that I've been through. It's just been like I always set myself to have a better year than the last year.
Yeah.
And I've already accomplished that by October. So I'm excited to see what the rest of the year has in store.
That is awesome. So you just finished up a run in MLW.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about what you were doing there. With the horseman gimmick and everything like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I said the word. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I will say every single wrestling term in the book at this point. So yeah, I was in the Rogue Horseman with Bobby Fish, CW, and Brock Anderson. So from, I believe it was October of last year up until June of this year, we were a group that essentially we feuded mostly with the Boom Fight Club, Paul London, Paul Walterhauser, who, for anybody that doesn't know who that is, Hollywood actor, Emmy award-winning actor.
Big deal.
That was probably one of the coolest things that I did there was working with Paul, both Pauls actually, because Paul London was always cool when I met him in the past, and getting to work with him, he's probably one of my favorite people that I've ever worked with. And then Paul Walterhauser, like, it's pretty cool to like see a clip of Live with Kelly and Mike, and Paul Walterhauser is literally talking about you on TV as there's a photo of him jumping through a table in LA. There's like it's kind of crazy how my life has turned out, especially this year. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really cool. Obviously, Paul London, anybody who's a wrestling fan around, I was going to say around our age. I'm so much older than you. I just turned 38 on Monday. I know. Yeah, Johnny's in the corner like young son of a bitch. Anyway, but Paul London, obviously a huge name. And then, but the Rogue Horseman, like, Brock Anderson is the son of Arn Anderson.
Yep.
Like that is that you don't get more wrestling royalty than that.
Absolutely.
And then oh my God, Bobby Fish.
Yeah.
Like you talk about a guy that made a name for himself before going to WWE. His tenure in NXT and then going to AEW before going to MLW. Like Bobby Fish, huge name.
Yep.
So to be in the who was the fourth person?
CW Anderson from EastW.
Yeah. Like this is you're with the best of the best that MLW has to offer.
Yeah. And that was the cool part about it, is that I was essentially the leader of the entire group. Like I was front and center, and those guys were put with me to elevate me, and I can't say enough that even though the run that I had there ended a little prematurely, I was, I mean, at the end of the day, my stock was elevated by not only being with those guys, but just being an MLW in general and getting to face the people that I got to face. I mean, I got to wrestle Matt Riddle, which he was the main event guy for a long time. He just lost the title to Matt's Cruel Kruger, as they call him in MLW. I had an awesome ladder match back in January where they introduced this new gimmick. I told you it was going to be wrestling terms. It's called the Gravity Gamble, where there's 5 briefcases. Only one has like a Money in the Bank contract type of thing. And in the other, so there was one briefcase that had the contract. There was one that had thumbtacks, another one that had a roll of barbed wire. There was another one with a staple gun, and then the one that I grabbed had nothing in it.
Amazing.
So it was a hell of a match. It's probably one of my favorite matches I've ever had. And was
it WCW that did something similar with things in boxes on poles?
Oh yeah, was
that TNA?
That was so they do so
TNA did the Feast or Famine.
Yeah, Feast or Fired match. That was the one where you could get a title contract for the tag titles, the mid-card title, or the main title, or you grab a briefcase that fires you.
Yeah.
When you said WCW, I immediately thought of the San Francisco 49ers match.
Yes.
Where the title literally fell out of the box and got handed right back up to Booker T. But I would definitely more put it with the TNA match.
No shade to MLW with that comparison there. Did not mean to do that. No. But that's incredible. You also a little closer to home, TNA was recently, as of like 2 months ago, at the Ryan Center here in Rhode Island, and you were on that card.
Yeah, I was. So I was on Explosion, which is their YouTube show. I got to wrestle Sinner and Saint, known at the time as Northern Armory, which was Eric Young's group. So the cool thing about that is that I had a foot in the door already to be there because I had wrestled Tommy Dreamer 2 times last year, and he was a big fan of mine. So the day that I got released, I messaged CW because he's friends with Dreamer. I was like, hey, can you reach out to Tommy and just ask him if it's okay if I come down to TNA next month? And within like 5 minutes, he said yes. So I ended up going there. Tommy had an extra spot. He asked me, he's like, are you okay with being a babyface? I'm like, my bread and butter is as a heel, but I'm not going to just say no to an opportunity like that. Like, I'm going to go with whatever I got. Spot is a spot at the end of the day. And they were happy with everything. Eric Young was happy with how the match went. Judas Icarus, they were Sinner and Saint. They were super happy with it too. We got the job done, which was the main point of that match.
Was that your first time in TNA?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. What'd you think?
I had a blast. I mean, I think everything's well run back there.
Yeah.
I've seen companies, I'm not going to name which, it's not MLW for anybody that's thinking, but I've been around all the companies, and it was probably one of the more smoother operations that I've seen run.
It's so nice to, as a wrestling fan who has nothing to do with the business at all, in any way, shape, or form. It's really nice to see this TNA renaissance that's happening, just because it was such a great alternative brand that Slash was also sort of the butt of a joke from the very beginning of its existence. I mean, the name itself, right? In how old were you in 2002?
Into 4.
You were 4? Okay.
Yeah, I was 4.
So like I remember rolling my eyes as a high school kid at the name TNA. And and then I actually was a fan of them changing the name to Impact, but then they changed all of the stuff that they did, like they made them cool and unique, and just so many things happened that were like that. It became like LOL TNA is a thing.
Yeah.
And to see that bounce back and just put out solid show after solid show after solid show, and to be where they are now, and to see their partnership with WWE and NXT that's happening, that culminated literally last night.
Yeah.
So cool.
It's very crazy to see because, like, for me, it's a very different story. I started watching wrestling in 2011. I was only 13 years old. I grew up like not liking it at all. And
What was it that got you in 2011?
2000. So like my neighbors down the street, the Noah, Joe, and Thomas Coucher, they were always big fans of wrestling at the time. So when I used to go over their house, like pretty much at least twice a week at that point. So they would talk to me about wrestling and everything. And I was like, that's so lame. That's so stupid. And then next thing you know, they have me watching the Undertaker and Kane storyline from like 2010. And I was like, okay, like I can see why you guys like this. This is cool. And then like it was the beginning of 2011 in January. I still remember the main event to this date. It was Edge and Kelly versus Dolph Ziggler and Lay Cool with the World Heavyweight Championship on the line. And I was invested because the whole story of the match was Edge can't hit the spear because it's been made illegal by Dolph's girlfriend, Vicky Guerrero, who was the general manager at the time.
Yep.
And so, Lord and behold, Edge can't use the spear, but nobody said anything about Kelly using the spear. And then she hits the spear. She gets the 1, 2, 3. Edge keeps the title, but then she gets fired. And I was like, Vicky Guerrero sucks. Like, I need to see this lady get her comeuppance at some point. So I'm watching every week at that point. I was such a fan of Edge because he was so cool to me because I was an angsty 13-year-old kid. So anybody that comes out in the awesome rock music, the long trench coat and throwing up little devil horns and getting pyro behind it, it was easy.
And listen, when I was 13, it was Brood Edge. So that's so I was also a huge fan of Edge at 13. That's awesome. And then, by the way, just because when am I ever going to have an opportunity to talk about this moment again? Dolph Ziggler winning the championship because Edge used a spear, and then they like stripped it of him the next night. But they count that as a championship reign.
Yeah,
like they don't count the Alberto Del Rio Money in the Bank cash in, that like epic night after WrestleMania cash in, as his first and only World Heavyweight Championship. They count the one with Edge for like 24 hours where he didn't actually win it, and that just sucks. He deserved better. So Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth, deserved better. It's
Dolph Ziggler was one of my favorites.
Yeah,
like he was. I mean, like I'm lazy. I don't change my ringtone ever, so I've had the same ringtone since I was 15, and it's Dolph Ziggler's "I'm Here to Show the World" entrance music.
Love it.
And on top of that, like I met him back in April when I was on a show with him, and it was pretty cool to have him watch my match and then tell me that he was a big and like he really enjoyed it. And then like I never take photos with people, but I took a photo with him and I told him, I'm like, first main event was you and Lay Cool versus Kelly and Edge, and he just started laughing.
The best though.
Yeah.
The best. And then like, well, 2011 was a great year to come into being a wrestling fan at 13 years old, because you had the pipe bomb and you had the whole summer of Punk, Money in the Bank. Like, that's an epic in a stretch of time where like older fans would say like nothing really cool happened for the whole PG era stuff. And like there was a bunch of stuff that was forgettable. Man, that segment of 2011 where you started watching, I'd see where that hooks somebody and wants them to keep going for life.
Do you want to know like the funny thing about like the whole Summer of Punk?
Yeah.
I had no idea like the gravity of that promo. Like the only thing that stuck out to me was when he says, when Vince McMahon is dead, I'm like, oh, I can't believe he said that. Not knowing everything, like mentioning Ring of Honor, New Japan, all that stuff on live WWE television, like that. I didn't figure that out until like a couple of years later. And then like it was CM Punk because I thought he was so cool. And then because Edge retired, I gradually went over to Christian and supported him during the World Heavyweight title run. And that storyline with Randy Orton just hooked me throughout the entire summer. I was watching Friday Night SmackDown every single week just to watch and see what happened with Christian. And like Christian was the first time that I ever rooted for a bad guy. So it was like, it was cool.
That the turn by Christian in 2011 was so good. So good.
slow
man.
build to it too. It wasn't just out of nowhere. Like there was story beat to where it finally like he snapped.
That series of matches because I had never really considered Christian how he was presented, right? Just as a fan. And so that series of matches with Randy Orton really was like, this guy's like the best in the ring at all of the little things.
Yeah.
Like he makes you feel something in those moments in a way of like Christian reminds me of Shawn Michaels in the way that it's not necessarily, and you think Shawn Michaels, it's the moves, it's everything in between the moves. And like Christian had that.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason wasn't pushed as a, the blue dot thing and stuff and whatever. But like, man, Christian, amazing.
He's like one of the most underrated wrestlers of all time. And I think his AEW run has been one of the bright spots about everything in the last couple of years. Because, you read online everything that they say about that company. But, at the end of the day, it's just all noise. But there's one thing that they never complain about, and that's what Christian Cage is doing.
Yes.
And it's been great.
Yeah. Fantastic. And there's another guy who didn't get an opportunity that he needed to get, went to a different company in TNA. Yeah. Transformed himself, showed what he could do, went back to WWE. Yeah. Still got kind of stuck in the mid card a little bit, ran ECW for a bit, and then the situation with Edge retiring.
I think there was a lot, like even when like TNA was on like the downslope and the beginning of the 2010s, I think that they still had a good impact on, pardon the pun. But it's like guys like EC3. Like I remember watching in like 2013, 2014 when he had just went back there after being whatever his name was in WWE. I just remember
Bateman.
There we go. He was my favorite.
God, I'm the biggest loser.
Like no, but like it was just not coming to me at that point.
EC3 as Dixie Carter's nephew.
Yeah,
fantastic.
He is. I did a seminar with him at NWA in August. And the way he breaks down characters and the way that he pays attention to all the little things about a character, he's a genius. And he has studied wrestling. He goes about wrestling in a completely different way. He sticks out from the crowd. And so he was my favorite when I was watching TNA. I loved EC3. So to have him choose me to be in his main event for Exodus Pro Wrestling the next night was, it's a cool full circle moment for me. I love having these little full circle moments, like with Dolph Ziggler and then EC3. Like that's the coolest part about wrestling to me. It's like I watched these guys growing up, and like I don't mark out fully when I see them, but at the same time, it's like in the back of my mind, I'm like, this is cool. Like I got to do this, and like Aaron Stevens was there too, Damian Sandow, like another guy that I loved watching, and because he was so entertaining.
Yep.
And like he gave me the best advice, which was, don't let your ego be put first. Like make sure that you're doing what you need to do in order for the match to be better, not for yourself. And I love both those guys, and I had such a great experience.
I love, first of all, EC3 as Derek Bateman, his stuff with Daniel Bryan as Daniel Bryan's rookie on NXT. I think they went on like a double date with the Bella Twins. Hilarious stuff. Loved him. Was super sad when he got released. Loved turning him into EC3. That whole thing. That was like, to me, one of the best characters that TNA had ever made at that point. Like a real character. Loved it. And then, who else were we just talking about? I lost my train of thought.
Damian Sandow.
Damian Sandow.
Stevens.
You know what? I'm very excited about all the time. The clip of I Think You Should Leave. Is it I Think You Should Leave? The Tim Robbins clip.
Yeah.
Of the order. Of the order
the
at
pay
the
it
drive.
forward.
Yeah, the pay it forward.
Yep.
the fact that he's in that
Yep.
makes me smile every single time because I'm just like he just seems like such a good dude.
Yeah.
That, like, you know, I'm very happy for him anytime I see him anywhere.
His whole part of the seminar was working on promos, and promos are like my bread and butter.
Yeah.
So like you get to learn from him, like that's cool. And like, yeah, when I saw that video for the first time, the pay it forward chain, I like instantly like popped as soon as he showed up onto the window. Yeah, it's cool when you see wrestlers in other entertainment media because it's like it feels like it's something for you. It's like, oh my god, I know who that is, but some people around you don't. That's cool.
I think he was the last. Like, I think that he was the last WrestleMania debut, that WrestleMania post WrestleMania debut, that I remember being like a surprise of like, I've never heard of this person. And they're great because then you had NXT. And when NXT started, obviously, like now all of a sudden, you know, all of the rookies that are coming up. And like, it wasn't just somebody who's been busting their ass on the independent scene for a long time. They get an opportunity. Maybe they've been in FCW. FCW is not really promoted.
Yeah.
So when you see them on TV for the first time, you're literally like, oh, that's amazing. Like, this guy's great. He's like cutting a promo in a bathrobe and holding the microphone like a wine glass.
Yep.
And it's really awesome. And you just get to see this whole presentation. And like now, as amazing as NXT is, if you don't get the presentation that you had in NXT when you come up to the main roster, everyone's immediately like, oh, they fumbled this guy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what did they do? Why did they do this? Whereas, like, you know what I mean? Because it's expected to be a continuation. So it's very interesting to me. But Damian Sandow, I think, was the last person that I saw debut on the main roster. Like, oh my god, he's amazing.
Yeah, no, man, I remember like always playing. Like, I love the fact that he came out to the Hallelujah church theme. It was so good. I mean, it's so crazy to me like how much wrestling has changed since I started watching. Because to me, it feels like it was just yesterday I started watching, but now it's a whole different beast.
Yeah,
and it's kind of crazy because when I started wrestling in 2015, when I made my debut, there was only like 3 companies of note at the time in the United States, which was WWE, Impact, and Ring of Honor, and that was it. And like the only reason I had just found out about Ring of Honor really as I started training. Like I didn't know much about anything outside WWE when I started training.
Sure.
Like I had to go back, and I didn't know what WCW was until I started. Until I really, maybe a year before I
went out of business.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
And then like I didn't know what ECW was, besides knowing that it was like the third brand when I played Road to WrestleMania and SVR 2011.
Yep.
What else was blew my mind? Oh, I didn't know who Chris Benoit was until 2013, like 2 years after I started watching. Like that's how well they erased him from history.
Sure, man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, but you're not gonna know what you're not gonna know because you weren't like alive during the main parts of those things, or you were too young. That's the but what I think is interesting to me about all of this is, and I want to get your take on this as somebody who's going through working independence, working with MLW, going and doing a shot for TNA, stuff like that. I think that like the fact that it's a healthy wrestling scene right now, and it wasn't for a long time when you were growing up, that like dull period of was when you were young and not watching, right?
Yeah.
And there wasn't any other options. Yes, there was TNA, but TNA was like a far away second. And whether you, and obviously you're an active wrestler, so I'm not even going to ask you your opinions on these companies, but but like whether you like AEW or you like WWE or you like MLW or you like TNA or you like New Japan Pro Wrestling or you like the fact that AAA was bought by WWE, or you like the fact that CMLL is like getting their moment again, crossover. I know that they've always been big in Mexico. Like the fact that there are so many places to work and so many places to. Andrade is somebody that just left WWE, went to AEW, spent his contract in AEW, left, went back to WWE, got his release, and is now back in AEW. And he's the first one that's flip-flopped, right? Yep. We've seen people go one way or the other and then maybe back, but never flip-flop. That's good.
Yeah.
That may, like, let's go back to Dolph Ziggler for a second. If Dolph Ziggler didn't start at the time period in 2006 when there's nowhere else to really do it, right? You already start in WWE, you already start at the top, but you're in the Spirit Squad. And then you're fighting your way to get seen as a big deal, as who you should be for your talent. Like, Kofi Kingston has been on WWE television for 20 years almost. That's insane. When The Undertaker was not on WWE TV for 20 years until 2010. Like, that is, you look at the amount of things that The Undertaker did that were iconic between 1990 and 2010, and you're like, that's 6 careers, you know? But now it's like all of these people came and they were there, and like, the Undertakers and Kanes and Shawn Michaels and Triple H and Booker T and John Cena were all still there and still at the top for a long time. So you stayed like and that's why I think AEW, NXT is my favorite thing to watch, because it's like college football. It's supposed to be new every few years. You're not supposed to stay there forever. And that turnover allows you to see a development of a character, some like a major story turn. Somebody can turn, bad guy, good guy, whatever. Somebody can accomplish something, and then they can leave and go somewhere else. And it doesn't allow you to get stale. And I think that, like, for someone now to have the opportunity to do a contract in WWE and then go explore AEW, and then when they're done in AEW, go to TNA, like, you actually have the opportunity to not be stale in a situation anymore, which is nice. And I hope that more people puddle jump.
And I think the coolest thing about the fact, for a wrestler standpoint, is when you do jump to these different companies, like, it's a different style.
Yeah.
So, you know, for any wrestling fan that knows, like, WWE very much goes by a TV based style. AEW very much goes, like, they want to translate independent wrestling into a national product. And then you go to New Japan, which is like this whole strong style, different type of wrestling. And having wrestled people of all those different styles, like, I got to wrestle Juice Robinson when he was in New Japan. Like, he was fresh off his IWGP US title run. And like, he kept it very much old school, but also implemented so much strong style into it that it was just like, it was a different way of looking at matches. And then, but that's the cool part about it. So like, let's say someone leaves WWE and they've never been outside. Let's say Randy Orton, for example, because he's never been outside the WWE. Imagine he going to AEW and he wouldn't necessarily have to adjust that much to the style, because he's Randy Orton. He can do whatever he wants. But same time, it's like, now you get to see him in a different environment. Like, imagine he went to CMLL. Like, imagine working Randy Orton working Lucha Libre. Obviously, a huge hypothetical on that one. But it's so cool that there are multiple different options with multiple different styles of wrestling. There's something for everybody. Now, you can make the argument that the market's oversaturated, but you can also say that the market's oversaturated with wrestling, not necessarily WWE style wrestling. There's something for everybody to watch.
Yeah.
However, wrestling fans still continue to complain to this day that there's not enough, or there's too much, or something. There's always a problem with wrestling fans, and like, some can be a little too, like, there's always something to hate.
Yeah, sure, because that's what people want. People want to hate it. People want to hate certain things and they want to love certain things and they want to believe that their thing is the thing, like it's not a
It's essentially like sports teams.
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, you know what it's like, and I know that he got a lot of guff for this quote. CM Punk said, "I'm like Taylor Swift, but for men."
Yeah.
That's what wrestling is. Wrestling is Taylor Swift for men. The amount of different opinions about whether or not her album that came out this week is awful or amazing or just fun pop or not didn't take a strong enough political stand this way or she's actually just turning into a trad wife or she's trying to it's the opinion on everything that everybody wants to have. Everyone wants to have an opinion on it. And it really almost the product itself is sometimes secondary for the fandom.
I think CM Punk is a great example of somebody that people love to
love to hate,
love to have their opinions on him. Like I had one interaction with CM Punk, and this was funny. He was walking up the stairs ahead of me at AEW one time, and he didn't know me from a hole in the wall. But I walk upstairs, one of my favorites of all time, by the way, and he holds the door open for me. And I was just like stunned. I was like, is he holding the door? And he just looks at me like, are you going to go or what? I'm like, thanks. Thank you. Sorry. You're one of my favorites of all time. Didn't say that to him, but that's what I was thinking in the back of my head. I was like, hopefully he never remembers this if I ever meet him again. But he my favorite thing about him is that he brings an old school style to wrestling. And that's what I love about that's my favorite style of wrestling is implementing a lot of old school into new school. Like obviously I have my fancy things that I do, but psychology wise, I try to keep things like as bare bones, bare minimum, feed the story hand over fist to the audience, make it clear as day so they understand what's going on and make it easier for the commentators to tell that story as well. CM Punk is one of those people that does that. I mean, he is a Bret Hart aficionado, and when it comes to Bret Hart, there's nobody that does it better in ring, in my opinion. I mean, besides Macho Man, that would be the only other person I would say. But you watch his matches, he's literally doing tribute matches to Bret Hart in some of his matches. Like his first match back was a Bret Hart tribute match between him and 1-2-3 Kid.
Yep.
That's so cool. And the fact that he has so much respect for the business, I think that's something that needs to be said. Like when you have respect for the industry that's given you so much, that means that says a lot about your character.
I agree completely. And by the way, turn that to the camera. No, the drink that you have. Yeah, turn that to the camera. Put it back up. Just CM Punk, if you ever want to come on the show, we have Spindrifts in the fridge at any time. So I know you're a fan of the Spinnies. You happened to take the sip after we finished talking about him. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. I'll shoot my shot.
Yeah.
This will be the last wrestling interview I ever get to do. What are you looking at, Boots? All right, you sit over in the corner. Anyway, Brett, what's next for you?
Jeez, I'm just plugging away at this point. I'm trying, obviously, I want to get signed again by the end of next year, but I have to work for it. And that's, unfortunately, I got to go back to the grind. Not that I wasn't grinding before, but it's just it's more intense now. There is a little bit of complacency when you're under contract because it's okay, I can't go here, can't go there, blah, 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 blah. Now it's okay, I set a goal for myself. I have to go and achieve it. I set my goal as soon as I got let go from MLW was, all right, I can go to TNA and I can go to NWA in the next 2 months. I'm going to make a post by the end of the summer saying that I wrestled for 3 major wrestling companies by the end of the summer. And I was able to accomplish that. So when I put my mind to something, I go all in. So by the end of next year, I want to be re-signed. I got to put in the effort, though, and hope whether I succeed or fail, I'm being ambitious by saying that. And at the end of the day, if you don't have ambition, then nothing's going to matter.
I think, first of all, I think you work hard and you're talented and you're gonna get there. But I think also, like, if you look at, there's such a great roadmap now for young professional wrestlers, um, of the modern independent wrestler, how to do it. Like, it started when you were just getting into wrestling, before you were even getting into wrestling. Colt Cabana with the Art of Wrestling podcast and his self promotion, and being able to show that, and then that opened the door for the Young Bucks and Cody and everybody to do the things that then started AEW, and what Matt Cardona has done since his WWE release in 2020. Like, there's a roadmap for self promotion and how to get yourself seen and get yourself noticed, and do that stuff. And when you're as talented as you are, I think that you're gonna have a, not an easy go of it, but you're gonna have a good go of it, and I'm excited for your future.
I am too. It's just sometimes it gets overwhelming in a sense to think about all that stuff, but I'm just happy with how far I've made it so far, and just know that the future is bright.
Was this your first year on the PWI 500?
Yeah.
How'd that feel?
I'm not gonna lie. I was grazing through. Yeah. And I was like, I'm at 250 right now. How am I, like, okay, fine. I'm not on it. I'm not. And then I look, I'm like, 196? I'm like, okay. Like, I'm not going to complain. But I was definitely shocked to see that. I was like, oh, I'm glad this magazine thought so highly of me with everything that I've done in the last year. Like, I very much downplay some of the stuff I do, because I always try to stay humble, but at the same time,
you've done some impressive stuff.
I've done some cool stuff. I've done some really cool stuff. When I sit back and relax and just think about what I've done, it's like, okay, there are a lot of people that would wish to have the things that I've gotten to do.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. Again, I remember buying that magazine and reading through the PWI 500 long before you were ever born. So, and I'm not that much older than you. Okay. Can we just clarify that? I'm not that much older than him.
Not that much.
I look like it though. Oh God. Anyway, Brett, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Come back anytime that you have anything you want to promote.
Absolutely.
You're always welcome. You're a local Rhode Island guy, and 321 is here for you whenever you need anything. So
sounds great.
Thank you so much for being here, man.
Thank you for having me.